All right, today I'm going to talk about how I believe that reality is like a video game. Now, you probably, if you're stumbling across this video, you've probably watched other videos that are of a similar concept. You're at least in the mindset of thinking this way. There's some creators that are on your mind that who are talking about these ideas. But I'd like to think that the ideas I'm going to present today will be a little bit different and kind of off the path of what is typical that you'll find in these types of videos. Because what we do here is we be real and we don't try to market or create an image or do all this weird stuff. We're just talking about life and reality as it is. And so today, I guess I'd talk about how life is a video game, dude. I mean, it kind of mirrors aspects of a video game, doesn't it? You're a character, you're here right now doing stuff, and you feel as though there's an instinctual drive that you're supposed to do something else or something more. There's a sense that you have to yourself where you have to accomplish things, you have to gain stuff, you have to level up in terms of this life experience. You have to acquire goods and become a person that other people rely upon and call you into to then go do even bigger things with. All these things are very characteristic of video games. It's what people love the most about video games. Now, I haven't played a single video game I mean, I don't know, like since I really have no idea. Probably was like even 19 since I last played a video game. But I've been paying attention to at least how other people talk about these ideas over a while, and I thought I'd give some of my input on it. And so when you really look at life as if you are a character, as if you are this embodiment of an avatar, almost like an empty vessel, and then your soul is contained within you right now as the experiencer of your reality. The first area and I guess local point of origin where you're going to be experiencing the game is through your screen, right? We're all looking on like computers and stuff. These got screens all around. So you're looking at a screen right now. Your whole screen of reality is your 360-degree perspective of you all around you right now. You're immersed within a screen of reality already. And so from that context and the way you kind of like look at that is the whole mission of life is to like further utilize this screen to move about the map of reality to then gain those points and attributes and further up your skills and everything through. But I think that to nest on this point for a little while, to go further into it is important because, a lot of people's problem, I think, in life and reality, and in terms of even wanting to continue this game in the first place, is whatever they're viewing on their screen, whatever they're viewing on the canvas of their life, always is this thing that, oh man, it's like so difficult, tough, and it's all these problems. I got to do all this shit, and I don't want to. And there's definitely a quality of life where you will kind of enter into a phase where that becomes like you're living actual reality, like the depression of life, and I can't get out of it and this kind of stuff. You're gonna go through a phase like that. I'm trying to talk to like my 15-year-old version of myself right now. And if you're 15, drop a comment below and say, hey, I find this valuable or whatever, because man, if you get this knowledge now, you're gonna be probably even way ahead of where I'm at even now. So it's kind of crazy. But the thing is if you're immersed within this field of reality, you're gonna feel as though that there's this gonna be this an intense pressure to like do something and be something more. And a lot of what that I think comes from is our innate being, and also now more than ever, us seeing so many opportunities and possibilities on the screen of our lives through other people's screen. Social media these days, it's all about like posting a pic and like doing it for the gram or do it for the vine, if you remember that. And it's all about capturing an image, capturing a still for you to step into to apply your mental and spiritual energy so that those on the opposing end of the screen can like kind of harvest that for themselves to then level up themselves. And so a lot of I think the issues right now that people can feel in terms of why can't I level up or why can't I access those traits and abilities that I really like know within me, but I don't know where they are, is to be honest with you, you're just paying attention to the wrong elements in your screen. See, Going back to what I said, you have this 360-degree panoramic view of reality. Yet you're on your phone, swipe, 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 localized to a very small surface area, applying all your attention into it and narrowed into like really stuff that doesn't actually matter, doesn't help you. And so the first step really to design your reality is you have to get out of that mode. You have to get out of the mode of like looking at things that do not help you like build up into the kind of person, the kind of avatar, that future version of yourself that you want to be. And so it's all about controlling your focus, controlling the things that you actually input into you. You know, the same way if you're just like playing a video game, you have to be aware of the damage and the points being, hit on you from the enemy, or if you're playing those like shooter up games, or it's all about keeping your health under control. And in many ways, we right now have spiritual health, mental health, emotional health, probably a bunch of different other types of health we don't even know about. There's all these different subtle, fine-tuned elements to yourself which can kind of get out of whack. And if you don't know where these elements are, or the I guess like the ratio of how well it's all put together, you're fundamentally not going to understand how to even like navigate life correctly because you don't even know what you are right now. So in video games, they have a dashboard. They have a like a kind of all these different metrics and parameters and little navigation bars that show details about the character. And I think that you can learn to develop something like that. You can learn how to kind of float up on your screen of reality how I'm doing right now. You can even visualize it kind of like this. If you want to get up in the morning, you're sitting there and you don't want to get up because life sucks. Just imagine this little box up there in your mind and just click it. And you can click the box and it can change your mode, change your state. And maybe it won't do it right away, but you can learn to build a type of muscle and kinetic neural psychic energy towards these actions that you create in your mind through your perspective. That's utilizing the functionality of your screen of reality. You can be all nervous right now and kind of crazy and, oh my God, I don't want to do this thing. You can sit in that, and people in the spiritual circle will say, feel through it and all these things. Or you can just develop these patterns within you to switch into different modes of being. You can transition into a new state where you don't have to be exactly what you are, because every time you're changing from one thing to another thing, from happy to unhappy or unhappy to happy, you're just changing a state. You're going from 1 to 0, 0 to 1. So that's all you have to do is just go from what you are to another thing. It doesn't have to be all the semantic stuff that a lot of people, I think, make all this spiritual development to be. So reality is a game. It's something that in many ways it's beyond a game, because reality is malleable. It's something that you can directly learn to develop pieces and parts of. So I guess more accurately, you could say that reality is an operating system. Reality is an interface. It's a holographic display of you, and it often mirrors and mimics your choices that you make. It also mirrors and mimics the principles that you hold, which determine the quality of how you're going to experience life. So if you're all clustered up and have a bunch of problems, you're obviously going to experience a life that mirrors exactly that. Even the law of attraction people, say stuff like this as well. And so it's all converging together, this movement. It's quite cool actually to sort of see the spiritual development side of things and the more sci-fi futuristic kind of merging together. However, the technology merging with spiritual oneness gets a little strange if you kind of follow the rabbit holes of what goes on there. But for the most part, my whole thing is all my life I've basically viewed reality this way. I've viewed reality as if it is this ever unfolding canvas of which I can learn to build and develop things within, create memorized states, access into it, and kind of build my own functionality of how I want to be. After going through some period of time, you will eventually learn that reality is so dynamic and adjustable and subjective that it really can be whatever you want it to be. You can follow your dreams, you can chase whatever you want to chase, and perhaps you won't get it, but it's not really the point of what you're actually getting in terms of the physical layers that represent as something that you deem meaningful. It's not really about that. The whole game and journey of life is accessing those principles and accessing all the terrain that unfold within you that help you develop into the person that you're supposed to be. Because there is a person that you're supposed to be, right? I mean, surely you have kind of felt that there's this optimal me out there in the future somewhere. I gotta like be this thing. I don't know how. And it almost feels like the whole reality in a way is sort of set up that the entire purpose of it is that you then attain that state where you are that thing. It's God, what people call it. People they worship a God and externalize it and call it something else is controlling me. Or you can take it as, all right, maybe I'm controlling me. And maybe there's other elements about the reality that behind the whole architecture of the reality itself, there is probably approximately something like a God. But the more that you're able to take on ownership of your life and the path that you're going and choose to see that metaphysical string that takes you from one thing to the next as you, it only is going to help in assisting you in your journey of, I guess, exploring reality. Because any other type of way to view that as some extra separate thing that is better than you, it's bigger than you, could punish you, all this kind of stuff that people get convinced into, it's not going to help you to have any of those beliefs, especially as you ascend the consciousness scale and really get into those levels where those type of ideas don't even have any utility at all to believe in and really are just kind of a fantasy at that point. So reality truly is this dynamic system that you can upgrade yourself. You can develop components and then components within components and learn to memorize things and kind of keep things as an automatic functioning mechanism of your reality. I mean, so many things I think that people try to practice in terms of their rituals. I got to meditate for 20 minutes a day, and then I got to drink this special tea, and then I got to do yoga for 25 minutes, and then I got to do this and that. I think I watched a video the other day. It's like some dude was interviewing another guy talking about maybe their like 3 hour routine that this person was following. And the other guy said, well, what if you just didn't do that routine and just got up, got in your pajamas and just like went to work the moment you get up? And that's basically what I do. And so I think that all these things, all these ways in which we kind of meander around our actual being and who we are, we form all these layers and layers of distractions over top of it, disguised as routines, in order to like distract ourselves, I guess, from the sense that we haven't actually fully accomplished that next objective of what our mission is and what we're supposed to do next. So oftentimes we develop these patterns as a means to kind of create a cushion towards not actually up leveling to the next level. So whenever you find yourself in a spot where you're kind of stagnant, it probably means that you've already loaded enough progress for that level, but you're right about to break to the next one. That's why you're stagnating, because you feel this initiation that you're supposed to go into, but you're not. But you've already gone so far, but you're kind of depressed about that. So, like, I'm in this in between space. It's because you're supposed to level up. And so, even that, you can just make a choice of, all right, I'm going to do that or I'm not. I'm going to stagnate, yes, or I'm going to stagnate, no. Everything comes down to this beautiful binary mechanism of reality. It's so beautiful when you learn to, I guess, in a way, view life as binary, even though there's issues around the term, because when you think about it, when you have two, I mean, what are we counting here? Are we counting the two spaces here, or are we counting the three lines? Just draw two squares and put them next to each other, and we call that two. But really, there's three lines that separate the two things, and then one is in between. So one needs to make the decision between this or that, which makes three. So we're always one, two, three. We're always an interplay of these numbers and these systems going on. And reality really does operate mathematically as well. So when it comes to the whole, I guess, kind of wrap up of this idea, The more I think that I've learned how to view reality as if it's a game, you'll start to, I think, enjoy it more because it takes the level of emotional serious out of it because you often find that those attributes don't actually offer too much of anything to you at all. And it's not to be hyper logical about reality. I think at a certain point in the consciousness scale that you develop, you eventually reach this point where the emotional landscape becomes almost like a lower level. It becomes something which is their last key that's holding them back from actually ascending fully into the mental, higher energetic realm. And a lot of spiritual people get caught up in this. They think that if you just feel through the heart, if you feel through your absolute oneness of your own being, you're gonna somehow like blast off into the universe and finally fully ascend. But all these people do is they just feel through the ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. They keep on going up and down, and it seems like they never go anywhere. That's how all these people are. So reality is a game. Reality, you can learn to develop processes and mechanisms to optimize your experience, and it can be done fully within your mind. We don't need technology, but we have now utilized technology, at least in our understanding and tangential experiences we've had with it, to utilize these concepts. This is why also on a side tangent, I think that if you learn how to code, if you learn how to program and write software, or at least do little scripts here and there, at least get familiar with how a terminal works. If you're a young person and you haven't had any experience with that, if you learn how to code and get into those type of fields, it'll really teach you a lot about how I think your mind works, how your brain works, and I think is the fastest way to break through limitations. Because if you just are like in your own energy, in your own space, trying to break through limitations but aren't doing anything that's challenging you, then you're never going to break through it because oftentimes to break through whatever you're going through, you need to actually have something which you're breaking through. And so much of that isn't your mental barriers, your spiritual stuff, or what do I need to do with my soul, this kind of stuff, or whatever. A lot of it is like just tangibly break through, break through something, and you'll find that helps you. So, anyways, I hope this video actually does something for you, at least gets your mind thinking in a different direction. We'll be doing a lot more of these ones, and I think this is mainly the topic that I want to kind of rest on for a while because really, I think this whole arena is going to be popping off fairly soon, and a lot of people are actually going to be talking about this quite a lot. What's real? What's not real? Where are we within the midst of this whole AI thing? Should I even go to college or not? Stuff like this. And so, if you like this kind of content, like and subscribe, share with your friends, and yeah, whatever.